So lads, do you want to hear a story about when I was little?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear one, Chubby? Okay, when I was a little boy, we had a little dog called Tiny. Is that right, Chubby? And there was a big story behind Tiny, right? When we got Tiny first, we had an old dog at home and she had a litter of pups. Now the thing was, she was old and she died the day after she had the pups. Right, yeah? So she was dead the day after we had the pups. Is that you breathing, Chubby? Chubby? Shh. So she had the pups anyway and she died and we didn't know what to do. And there were 3 little pups. And I was a little boy at the time and all I could think about was, right, we need to get milk into these. Now nowadays you can go to the vets or go to the chemist and get all this formula stuff, but you couldn't back then. So we said, what can we do? And I didn't want to let him go. And Annie said, Mick, they're going to die. And I said, we'll have to keep trying, Annie, Mammy. So we got a spoon and we got a bit of bread and milk and warmed it up. And we mixed it all up and we tried to feed them down their little mouths. But their mouths were so small that they couldn't swallow it properly. And after the first day, then the first pup died. And we were heartbroken. And then the second day, woke up the next morning, the second one was gone. And the smallest one of all was there, and I was going to school that morning. And I said to Nanny, I said, he'll be dead again. I come home, the world greater. And she said, I'll give him a bit of food anyway for you, Mick, right? So I came home from school anyway, and I went in to look first thing. And here wasn't he still alive, but he was quite weak, right? And I said, Nanny, he's not going to make it. She said, I know. I said, the thing is, she said, when you're in school, though, there's got a bit of good news for you, though. And I said, what? I said, Tibbsy with a cat called Tibbsy. Tibbsy's after having kittens, she says. Yeah. So I went to lie to myself and in the old cardboard box out in the back kitchen, here was Tibbsy lying off and she was there with the 3 kittens, 3 lovely little kittens. And they were gorgeous. And I suppose that was some kind of excitement for me, but I said to Nanny, I put my hand in to rub the kittens. I know the cat's belly is lovely and warm after having the kittens. In other words, it was real warm. I said to Nanny, I said, can I try something with the puppy? And she said, so what, Mick? I said, I put the pup in beside the cat. And she says, she didn't think it was a good idea. She said, Mick, that cat now is after having a kitten, she can turn on that pup and she'd kill it like she'd be killing a rabbit. And I said, can we give it a go and I'll sit beside her and watch her? She said, all right, go on. So I picked up little pup and he was the smallest of the whole lot of them. And we left him into the box beside the cat, up near the top up near her head part. And the 3 little kittens were sucking away, the little eyes closed, they were kind of wet still after being born. And little pup cuddled in and the warmth of the little pup, he had very little hair on him too, a little warm belly on him, and the warm belly of the cat and the warm belly of the kittens, they all kind of huddled in because we're all getting the warmth off each other. Now the old cat looked at him, like, that was a queer thing, the old cat looked at him, and Nanny was saying to herself, oh no, here we go now, it'll be game over now for this fella, she says. She was thinking to herself, I'd say. But, no, the old pup cuddled in and you know what's one thing, the old cat put out her hand or the paw and she put the paw on the little pup and gave it a little pull in and gave it a little bit of a purr. So I said, alright. So next minute the old pup's eyes were barely open now. The pup's eyes opened up a bit quicker than the cat's. And the old pup must have smelt the milk anyway. So didn't he go straight for where the kittens were sucking. And he went had a little lick himself. I said, oh God, here we go. Then he started licking the kitten. And then, do you know when a cat will have kittens, the little kittens will do their little wee-wees and poopy-doopies, and the poor mammy cat has to lick the kids to keep their arses clean and keep them all clean. She licks their eyes and their ears and down to their bellies and their arse everywhere. Like that, right? So she keeps a real good tidy house, the poor old cat does. So the poor old cat knows this, and The old dog cleaned the kittens. Oh, he cleaned them, they were spotless. He went on to the second one, dropping milk. Then he went down, cleaned them all. A third one, and the old cat must have said to herself, she goes, "Jeez, this fella's square handy now." I said, "I'm buckled up here now with pain after having 3 kittens." I said, "I won't be able to bend over to lick get near the first one and the third one." I said, "Oh, jeez," and your man was there. So the cat was kind of going, "All right, this is okay. This is something going on here." She thought to herself. And next we noticed there was a spare tit you see on the cat. There only have 3 kittens. And a spare tit up on the top of near the top cat, close up to the cat's face, the last one up. And then your man cleared away all the cat's hair and latched onto it. Like that. And we were going, "Oh, jeez, the cat's going to fucking eat him now, right?" But she didn't. She let him suck away, and she put her hand on him and did the big. And all the kittens doing their little, not the way the cats do their little things with their hands, they're pressing again the mammy's belly. And sure, next didn't your man do it as well with his big doggy nails. Making the noise and sucking away. And that went on, and Nanny, we kind of said, "Jeez, that's gas." They had a big feed and they all fell asleep. And he says, "Mick, don't go anywhere." I said, "That cat will wake up now. She'll see him there beside her in the bed and she'll finish him." So lo and behold, kittens fell asleep, dog fell asleep, cat fell asleep. They all woke up and they went back to the same old routine. She didn't eat him. I thought she was going to, Mammy said to me, "Oh, she's going to eat him, Mick. I'm telling you, she's going to eat him on you." But she didn't eat him. Not a bother on him. So this went on day 1. And next morning, wake up, we'd be expecting the cat to find like the 4 legs and the tail of the dog. But you didn't. You found the whole little puppy there, growing and growing and growing. And every day, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, next week a week. And by this stage, the pup was thriving. And the kitten's eyes were beginning to open after a couple of days. And next minute, nobody started to play. So it went on. The pup got bigger. We called him Tiny because he was so small, the smallest lot of them. And he started playing with the kittens, and sure, he didn't know any different. The kittens know any different, and they all started playing. He still carried on his old duty of cleaning them, and the mammy was delighted with herself. He was getting a drop of milk. And that little pup was reared until it got big enough then that we were able to, because it got so big, it was actually bigger than the cat, and the cat couldn't feed it. So the poor old cat was grand. But we used to leave the milk and all in a little bowl beside the dog, beside for the little pup, and he'd lap it up. And he actually taught the little kittens how to drink. They were able to climb out the box and get a little drink, which gave the mammy a break as well. She was delighted because she got a break as well. So it worked out rightly. And the great thing about it, here from the old Chubby here, the dog, that when the dog would have food in front of him, he'd guard against the poor old cat. She'd be like, "Rrr, rrr." But this one wasn't. He stood back, he knew where his place was, and he let the mammy cat have a drop first, then let the kittens have their drop, then he had the last drop then himself. So he was real good, and he was reared with that. And the gas thing was, when you would actually rub that dog, if not the way you'd rub Chubby, you'd rub his back, you'd rub your hand on his back, or when you put him on his belly and you scratch his belly, or you scratch down his tail, the dog used to go like this. Poor old Tiny would go like this. And when you were lying in bed with him, he'd purr beside you at night time. And he was rare with them, and the 3 cats had to go off to find a new home. They went off to neighbours' houses. But every now and again, we'd bring the neighbours' cats all around, and he'd always remember the little kittens, and he'd play with them. And him and Tibbsy, the mammy cat, they lived on in our house for years and years and years and years, and they died within 3 weeks of each other. When poor old Tibbsy died, poor old Spot died of a broken heart. He died because his poor old mammy died, and the 2 of them are buried in the same little spot down the bottom of the park at home. But that was Tiny, the dog that purred, and that's a true story. Is that a true story, Eppie?